How you guys doing? I can't see a damn thing when that light's in my eyes. But welcome to my World of Darkness 2013 presentation. Thank you. As you guys know, World of Darkness is about making sure that I say lots of vague things without real dates and all that. So expect to be disappointed, just like my wife. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris McDonough. I'm the senior producer for World of Darkness. My Twitter handle is @WWChrisM. And people who aren't friends with me on Facebook, that's my Facebook profile picture. It was also a Christmas gift that I got at the company. That picture was actually taken at the company Christmas party, so pretty sexy. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about is I'm going to do a pretty brief presentation, I hope pretty brief, and then I'm going to take some Q&A with Rainier Hardison, one of the founders of CCP. What I'm going to talk to you about today is 2012 progress, what we did in 2012, what's ahead for 2013. Then I'm going to show you some videos that'll give you sort of an insight into what we've been doing on World of Darkness in terms of the tools we've been building for making the game, and then we'll do our question and answer at the end. So in 2012, World of Darkness team spent a lot of time putting getting technical foundations in place for the World of Darkness project. So we've been working on things like movement and combat and the basics for our sandbox systems. All those systems are well along, and we've been making really great progress on them in 2012. As you know, we frequently talked about the three sort of pillars of our game, which is the sandbox, the coffee shop, and the theme park. Sandbox being the MMO EVE side of things that is about, it's basically about being able to take over the world and players having impact on the world. Coffee shop is about social features and interacting with other people. And then the theme park is sort of PvE content, story and mission type content. We spent our time last year focusing on this. We consider this to be the primary sort of pillar of World of Darkness and everything that CCP does, right? Maximizing human interaction and all of that. So later this year, though, we'll be starting to focus on the rest of that. But as a part of that sandbox, the things that we've worked on are our movement system. And what we've built is sort of a really world-class movement system that's designed to make you feel like a vampire going around the city. You can jump on things, climb. It's not like your traditional MMO. It's very movement-based and made to make you feel like this powerful vampire. We've been working on our combat systems. So we built this combat system that does justice to this quick fighting and vampire style of combat. But we've also built the tools in the back end that you'll see some of in a little bit that let us make quick improvements and iterations on what we learn when we're doing playtesting. And we do tons of internal playtesting. We've been working on our sandbox play. So we have vampires controlling parts of the city and having impact on the World of Darkness. And we know, as seeing everything that's gone on with EVE, we know that people who feel like they can control the game and take part in shaping the world, they're going to stay in the game forever. And what we're building is something that we hope will last forever, just like EVE. And we've also been working on our social structures. So we've been putting some political and social structure stuff in place that sets the stage for vampire politics. So players are rewarded for actually meeting up face-to-face, but these systems also really give them the opportunity for backstabbing and betrayal and all the sort of Machiavellian politics that you see in EVE, and we're hoping to do some stuff to incentivize making that just a little bit easier to organize. We do lots of playtesting internally. So here you'll see, this is one of our internal metrics. When we ran a company playtest in January, we had 3,360 kills in 1 month just between CCP employees murdering each other. So that was pretty good. That was like 1 per 5, or 5 per 1 employee, or more, actually. So we do tons of testing. Part of the reason why we're doing the testing is so that we can start to generate our metrics behind the scene. We can do our server testing and our load testing and see what kind of balance we're getting. All this stuff is made up, so if you're seeing city names and stuff, it's completely temporary placeholder stuff, so sorry, no real learnings there. Tough break, but we do chart all this stuff. This is just one of dozens and dozens of metrics that we're measuring in game. So that's what we've been doing during 2012. In 2013, we're going to start looking ahead this year to working on things like out-of-client engagement. So like I mentioned, as a part of the coffee shop part, we want to make sure that players can interact even outside of the client. So we're working on web-based systems that let players interact with each other even when they're not in front of their computer, but on their mobile device or just a web browser as well. And that stuff will be coming up next year. We're starting to work on our fashion. We've got characters in the game, but what we've not really put in are the elaborate clothing and styles that we want that we can use in-game and let players adjust those styles. So we can make them manually ourselves right now, but we're going to start building the systems for getting that in and getting all the runtime and performance on clothing in-game. We really want this to be a big part of the game. The desire to capture that whole vanity and power and style that vampires have is really a big deal for us. We're also working on an environmental gameplay this upcoming year, and we're prepping for more theme park stuff. So this is working on our artificial intelligence for NPCs, our player versus environment gameplay, and being able to interact with NPCs as well. And that's the stuff that we're putting the foundations in place for this year. Like I said, last year we focused mostly on sandbox. This year, much more on that. We're also working on creation systems for building stuff in-game. We know that to have an economy, obviously, you have to be able to gather things, make things, and destroy things. That's sort of what we consider to be that cycle of any given economy. And we definitely want to have that, but we're building systems that make it so that, you know, as an individual vampire, you're not making stuff. You're a vampire. You're a powerful, immortal lord of the night. You don't want to sew a shirt. So we're having other systems where you'll be able to manipulate other characters into doing those things for you. And then in 2013, we're building lots and lots of more tech features. Like I mentioned, artificial intelligence. We're working on improvements to our rendering engine and getting our frame rates up. We're working on the paper dolling tech I mentioned, lighting systems. We're working on discipline development. Disciplines are vampire powers that they use in-game. And I'm going to show you some tools in a minute that are some of the ones we use, and we're continuing to expand on those. We're working on all of our level design tools. There's a ton of world space content to make, and it takes time, and we have a relatively small art team, so we're building lots of tools that we think will help us accelerate that process. We're working on server and network improvements. You know, we have to be even more performant than EVE. Our server systems and network systems run faster than EVE because of the nature of the character-based game, and so we're working on improving that and our art tools for environment creation. So what I'm going to do now is show you some of those tools. We spent a lot of time building tools and getting our technology ready, and this is everything that's required to make open world and character systems. So I'm going to show you some videos. Of course, that's tools, but this is what our tools look like behind the scenes. So what I'm going to do is show you a brief video. That tool right there is called Athena, and it's a scripting tool that we use to be able to create those disciplines and assemble them within game and other events as well, and be able to make lots of them rapidly and rapidly iterate on them. So I'm going to show you this video that covers that tool. Some of these videos are a little dry and technical, but you know, we're not showing the game, so that's what you get to see. Enjoy. Oh, except it's not starting. Hey, can you press play up there by any chance? Great. Not his fault, it's mine. Oh, awesome, it's not playing. Oh, back, forward, play. One more time. Great. I'm going to skip that one for a second and come back to it. Let's see how the other ones do. I'm just going to skip ahead. So there's this awesome tool for assembling disciplines, and that guy shows you how he drags and drops little pieces of programming in place. Actually, I'll show you. Go back one more. Come on, go back. He looks super excited. These little things up here are called procs. They're little bits of scripting that our game designers can drop into place and assign things like whether an attack is interruptible, how long does it take to go off, how quickly can you not spam on the button while you're busy attacking. And they set all these things automatically within the game, and they run, and then they can attach things like animations to them and all sorts of things. This allows us to really quickly iterate on all of our character powers, from basic attacks also to things like disciplines and discipline powers. They also can trigger area of effect things and all kinds of other business that's associated with it. So that was the producer's version of what that tool is. The game designer's version was longer. There he is, poor Joe. We also have been building this kit and volume tool. This is a tool that we use to build spaces that conform to our metrics. So in order to be able to make lots and lots of space, we've put together character metrics, how far characters can jump and climb. But also, those metrics work with our art pieces. So we're building art pieces that also conform to those metrics and allow us to quickly art up buildings based on the increments that we've set for any given building. This tool we use to build blockouts in gray box environments, and I'm going to see if this video plays.
Hi, I'm Robert. I'm a level designer here at CCP, and I'm going to show you Jessica, our in-house editor, and the volume tools. The volume tools are basically what we're using to block out the world of darkness. Blockout is basically a rough 3D concept of what we think the world will look like. It's advantageous because with a blockout you can rapidly iterate and change the world without having to worry about art constraints. So here you'll see that I've blocked out a small little island. You can see all the different volumes that you use to create this island. So we have a little island, and let's say we wanted to put a prison over here on the end of it. Make it about 4 meters. And now I'm going to add what we're calling a kit volume. A kit volume is going to be the basis of all of our buildings. The advantages of a kit volume is that we can constrain the length of each line to a meter length or any other length we want. So for my prison, let's say I wanted to create, I don't know, a little C-shaped kind of prison. So I'm going to go here. All right, so now we have the quick rough shape of my building that I want to create. So let's go back to our perspective view real quick. See where it is. Okay, I want to move it up a little bit. Put it on top. I'm going to go ahead and bake that so I can see exactly what it is we're sitting on. And baking is the process of actually creating the geometry of the object. Now I want to add some sort of gates in there, so I'm going to bring in another kit volume. I'm going to move its pivot point to one of the verts so I can easily snap it, duplicate it, powers of my gates. Let's have them go up. All right. Let's say we want to add a quick little side building. I'm going to take the same volume, duplicate it again, bring it over here to the side. I want this to be, let's just say, a little one-story outbuilding. Another kind of volume that we're using to block out the world of darkness is what we call a mesh volume. And a mesh volume is similar to a kit volume. It works the same way, except that it's not constrained to any metrics, so we can make any shape we want with it. So I'm going to bring in a mesh volume. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually add a little bit of more terrain below this outbuilding so it's not hanging over the edge. Along with like snap to vert and snap to grid, we also can do a snap to face. So I can hold down a modifier key and move this point and be assured that this point will slide along this cliff face and never go through it. What's nice is I can easily quickly describe all these points, make a nice little rocky outcropping. All right, so let's bake that, see what it looks like. There you go. And using these simple volume tools, we're going to be able to lay out the entire world of darkness.
All right. So that tool is used by us to build everything in metric, and it saves us a ton of time because we can block things up and make really quick changes without having to art them up. But when the time comes that we do want to art them up, we have another tool that's called Genesis that works with those same metrics and allows us to put art on the buildings. And so this is another video showing some of that and how that works.
The Genesis tool is a population tool which we use to rapidly generate and iterate on the building structures for World of Darkness. More specifically, the Genesis tool inputs collections of individual art assets, which we call kits, onto the volume blockouts created by our level designers. Here's a kit. It is a series of individual art assets which, when reassembled in an expected way, will form into a residential brownstone structure. What we see here is a kit building volume, which is representative of a volume our level designers would create. In order to apply a population of kit assets to the buildings, artists can open a dialog box which allows them to define population instructions for the volume. Within this dialog, artists can set rules for how the art pieces will be used and can assemble a building in a variety of ways. Here I am establishing a ground floor first and populating it with venue floor art assets. Next I populate a second story residential floor with window assets. Then I can copy and paste that floor onto a third level as well and add a top trim to the population to cap off the building face. Because all of the art is populated according to artist-created rules, we can quickly test other variations or results simply by rerunning the populations. Here I rerun the populations on the residential floors. This quickly generates variation in the window population results. As a detail pass, I go back through the populations adding some trim assets and columns to the ground floor. At this point I'm pretty happy with the base results, so I move forward to copying the entire population results for the front face over to the first side. Because the population results are rules-based, the length of the side wall doesn't matter. Next I replicate that copy and paste to all the other sides of the volume, resulting in a fully populated building. Now I have a building which has been populated around all sides with population instructions that are made up of individual art assets, in a way that has art-approved variation automatically built in. Finally, the inevitable happens. The level designers need to change the shape of the volume. Now that the building volume has been resized, I can easily rerun the populations for the volume and regenerate all the art assets to fit the new building dimensions. Since the population rule set is provided in a way that allows for dynamic results, our kits can be applied to any volume shape or size. The built-in variant probability of the art in the kits provides us with the guarantee that no two buildings will look exactly the same, but all will meet our art and architecture expectations. This is the Genesis tool at its base functionality. It allows us to quickly generate and iterate on building structures for the World of Darkness. We're looking forward to showing off the full suite of its features in the near future.
So as you can see, some of the tools that we're building are pretty complicated and are really designed to help us be able to make the enormous amount of content that we need with a small group of guys. And we're pretty excited about it. These guys are doing great work and building some amazing tools. Of course, that building looked pretty basic. That was the way a building looks when it's done with just the base population. But what the art team has also been doing is working on shader technology behind the scenes. And shaders are basically little bits of procedural code that they're used to make art in procedural ways so that you can add lots of style and detail and be able to adjust it really easily and have lots of variations. And so here's another video showing that and the next stage of how a building gets finished.
In the World of Darkness, we will be striving towards dynamically generating local cube maps, so that reflective materials such as puddles will reflect the area they are present in. Our puddles do more than just reflect though. When we place them, they change the lighting properties of the surface underneath them, so that the area around the puddle becomes slightly darker and slightly more shiny, giving it the appearance of being wet. This happens because every surface style in our game has a wet variant, which our decals can toggle on or off per pixel. We plan to use this functionality to dynamically make the world look wet or dry in different weather conditions. In the effort of adding even more wetness to our world, we've created a water decal shader. This shader scrolls through a normal map, affecting only the render pass of its normal. This technique gives us the appearance of running water. Using a combination of different textures and settings, we will be able to create anything from oozing goo to fast running water. Utilizing a normal map to create a distortion of the background image, we can create a wide array of glass type surfaces. The distortion glass shader has many properties for control, such as reflection color, how much distortion there is, normal map strength, what color the glass is when you are facing it, and what color the glass is when you are looking at it from an angle. Animated props are essential to make our world feel alive. In addition to standard animated and state props, we also have the functionality for driving animation through our shader system. Here we have an asset that has its fan blade axis set in Maya, so that the rotation happens around the correct pivot. With this shader, we are not constrained to a pre-made animation, but can control the speed at which the fan rotates from within our editor. This also allows us to animate each fan in the world differently per instance of the asset. We also have been working on a number of procedural shaders, one of which is our brick shader. The brick shader utilizes an atlas texture that's comprised of a number of different bricks. We can control different attributes such as how the bricks are offset, the overall color of the bricks, and how the grout between them looks entirely from within the shader. This shader allows for vastly different applications of bricks at all shapes and sizes, with variant looks and feels while utilizing the same texture atlas. For example, we have the ability to control the probability of how often a certain brick appears, which gives us an advantage over regular tiling textures in that our brick wall can be a totally random composition every time, while costing only a fraction of the memory budget. Our window shader adds depth to our buildings with interiors that are not actual geometry, but are created entirely from the shader. Also, across an entire building, we have the ability to set a percentage of windows that are on or off, and what percentage of the on windows can give the impression of someone inside watching a television.
So again, building some really cool stuff that's going to make for a really good looking environment. Just some fantastic technology. We've also been doing some animation motion capture, and we really want to get the animation correct in World of Darkness, so we do a lot of motion capture. And I think this is my last video, so enjoy.
Hey guys. Hey, we're doing reference shooting for World of Darkness. We got lots of rooftop running around, jumping from buildings, and so here we are. I'm gonna Nathan up there to jump from the corner of that building, come all the way down.
Wait, hold on, you guys. We gotta make sure that the jump distance is gonna be at least 20 meters according to design doc specifications. 20 meters.
Yeah, don't worry, man. Don't worry. We got this real soft area out here for you. So just make sure when you hit this. Now, a couple of other things to note. When you're about halfway through your arc, we want you to go limp, right? Because we want to get that really soft, fluid motion, and do not scream. We're doing audio on this. Vampires, very stoic. You can't scream on the way down. All right? You hot? You got this? Let's do this.
I am really excited. You have no idea.
Yeah.
You seem pumped.
All right, you ready? Time's burning.
Are you guys sure about this? All right.
You're good. Let's do this.
Oh.
Great job. We gotta do this. We gotta do this again, though.
That wasn't far enough.
No.
Too flat.
Hey, you were screaming, man. This guy sucks. It's never gonna work.
All right! Good job! All right, man, good job!
Yeah, that'll do.
So obviously we take our motion capture really seriously too. We do actually do motion capture, but but you can see we've been spending a lot of time on tools and technology and getting stuff ready, and we've also been spending a lot of time on gameplay and all the systems to make gameplay. I hate that there's not too much to show you guys, but as you know, Dust 514 is really the big push and continues to be, and we are laying low and getting our shit together so that we can be ready to make something awesome. So I did say awesome, right? Shit. So what I thought I would show you guys is some of the concept art paintovers of some of the blocked out environments that we have in game right now. So what we'll do is turn something like that into something like this. Or we'll take something like this, that's a blocked out space like the metric you saw, and we'll turn it into something like this. Take something like this, which is a blocked out playable space, and you can see the kind of real estate that we're talking about and why we need these tools, and we'll turn it into something like this. And we'll take something like this, one of our streets, and we'll turn it into something like this. So you get an example of the direction that we're headed and what we're trying to do with World of Darkness and the high really goals that we've set for ourselves. So we're pretty excited about it. And what I was wondering is if you guys want to see what it looks like in game. Yeah? Okay, I knew that was kind of a trick question. So, so what I need to do is two things. One, I want to make sure my audio guy cranks it up so that it's super booming and scary. But what I want to do is explain what it is, but ask you guys a favor first. So part of the reason why we're not streaming this is because we are not ready to release this game, and it's not going to come out next year. I can promise you that. So we're CCP. When it's done, and we are taking our time to make something that we know that you guys will value and want. What we don't want to do is spend years following up on press that's asking us when it's going to come out and wasting cycles on something that when we're ready to talk about, we'll talk about. And if this video goes out, people are going to start wanting to talk about it. And so, but we did want to do something really special for this 10th anniversary of FanFest. So what is this? By the way, you see that's me. Somebody made that for me on the internet. So you know, it's done when it's done. This is for the 10th anniversary. And I also want to explain a little bit about what it is that you're about to see. So this is running in our engine. So this isn't made up. This is running in game. It's still work in progress. Some of the effects that you're seeing on here are post effects. They're applied after because this is a visual target. Our art team made this not for FanFest. They made this for themselves so that they can set goals for themselves in the technology that they're building. It's also not a cinematic trailer. It's not like meant to be there's a story or there's action. What we were trying to do and what the art team was trying to do was follow a character through a normal sequence of gameplay and just get it from that player perspective. So there is no camera switching. There's no big drama to it. This is what we're looking for. These are in-game characters and animations that you're going to see. So it's not this performant. That's one of the things that we're working on this year. So when you see it, you know, I want to be completely upfront about what it is. And I want to call out my FanFest Bros card and say, for real, we have some people out in the audience that are going to be looking for cell phones and cameras. So no pictures or video, please, for real. I know a lot of people do that, but they really want it to leak. But we don't. So if you have cameras or cell phones out, I'd ask that you put them down and turn them off and look for the CCP guys that are going to be looking around. And honestly, you'll wreck it for somebody else because they're going to step over and ask you to put your camera down, and then the people around you won't be able to see. So I'm looking around for any glowy phones I see. Just reflections, shiny shit. All right. Okay, so you guys ready? You ready to do this? All right. House lights, you can bring them down and crank up the sound. Thank you. Our team has worked really hard on that, and it's really an amazing visual. Like I said, I know you guys. I trust you guys not that won't end up on the internet. And in that order, I will show it one more time so that you can walk out of here and say you saw it. Okay? And I really appreciate your understanding on that. After this, we're going to do some Q&A with me and Rainier. So one more time, we'll crank it up again, and I'll let you guys see it once more. Thank you. The art team will be super happy to hear you guys applauding for them. They really worked hard on that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to bring up Ray Harrison, as he's known in America, and we're going to do some Q&A with you guys. So if we could turn on some house lights, we've got about a half hour or so left. We'll take whatever questions you guys have, and I'll do my best to avoid giving you any meaningful data. That, by the way, was the night Rainier and I met in a bar at E3. That was probably 5 years ago or so. Where are you, Ray? You just saw him coming up here. Oh, he's getting his microphone on. All right. Everybody having a good FanFest? Yeah. All right. You gonna come watch me play in Roxor tomorrow night, singing? Woo! All right. So there's a microphone down here. Oh, there's a line. All right. Well, we'll do that then. I was surprised by the authority with which these guys got up there. First question.
First, no. I'm jealous of the design tools you guys are using right now. I would kill to sink my teeth into those. But, God, that was a vampire joke and I didn't even mean it. Now, you saw the start of that video footage you played there. She was mucking around with a cell phone.
Sorry, can you say that a little bit louder?
She was mucking around with a cell phone at the start of that footage you had there, and I was wondering, you were talking about the coffee shop and the social interaction. Would that be playing any serious role in how players interacted in any way?
I mean, absolutely it will. The cell phone side of it in this particular case is art aspirational. It's not indicating any particular gameplay of cell phones in-game. But for sure, in the real world, everybody's using their cell phone. Without giving any big secrets away, I mean, we're developing something that we want people to be able to access out of the game. And if you have a web browser on your phone or on your computer, there'll be elements of the game that you can access.
Yeah, maybe to add a little bit to that, the social network actually provides real power inside the World of Darkness.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Staying on? Testing.
Yeah. I have a simple question and a difficult question. The simple question is, will World of Darkness be made in such a way that it could appeal to a more adult, more mature audience with both its themes and its design and its art?
I assume that's the simple one?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, she cuts a guy's throat right there, so I'm kind of...
Well, there's violence in kids' shows, but I think a lot of people draw the line at frontal nudity, and that's, yeah, that's something like most game people don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole.
I see where you're headed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, there are different rules in different countries. So Germany has no problem with frontal nudity. America has a massive problems with frontal nudity.
Yeah. I don't. I'm from America.
But Germany has major problems with red blood. So you can have frontal nudity and green blood in Germany, and red blood and no nudity in America. No, that being said, yeah.
We're debating those issues internally right now. We feel like we're going to make a mature product, and it is our goal to have that. But we also want to do it. If we do it, we want to do it in a way that's meaningful within the game. And right now, a lot of the gameplay that we have doesn't lend itself to that. There's certainly characters dressing themselves, and the whole paper dolling side of it that will be a big part of it. And that's where we have to have rules in place. Anytime you allow for something like that, for example, for it not to be ridiculously gratuitous, you don't want naked people walking around the street. It wrecks the immersion of the game. And that means now you've got to have rules in place for what people can wear in what locations. And how in-depth we want to get with that and how we want to enforce it. I mean, what do you do if someone's walking around in no shirt on and, do the cops come?
Yeah, and as an example, in the first internal playtest, you could loot the clothing of other people.
Yeah.
And it meant everyone was naked all the time. And, it was fun and beautiful, but not what we're trying to make.
So
the complex question is to do with DirectX pipelines and how you're going to deal with graphics constantly changing. They're constantly releasing new video cards. They're constantly coming out with new things like, if I were to go back in time and say, yeah, there's this thing, tessellation, it's going to be amazing, people would say, yeah, you're crazy. So how is World of Darkness, is it going to be designed so that it's easily scalable with new and developing technologies like the Oculus Rift or things of that nature?
Can we say it?
I don't think, no. So we're not Oculus Rift. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about DirectX. Just so nobody gets all what? So maybe we'll do Oculus Rift. I don't know, but we're not doing it right now. But we're not really talking about min specs for machines right now. We're definitely future-proofing and looking towards using a lot of the newer technologies. So what we decide our min spec it to be is going to be partially based on when the game comes out. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi. How close to the rules of the World of Darkness will you be sticking into the game? For instance, the Masquerade.
So we try to be very true to the IP, as much as we can. But that also being said, it is a little bit of a different beast. And World of Darkness has many incarnations of the tabletop role playing, and then you have the live action role playing, and they use different rule sets, although similar. And we're kind of in that, So we're also we try to be true to the IP, but sometimes we need to bend the rules a little bit. Yeah. But that's okay because he's one of the original guys from White Wolf.
I'm the guy fighting. Hey, we're not doing that. Stop it.
So will people be able to run around the streets and just kill anyone and everyone for?
There's absolutely Masquerade in the game.
Masquerade and Elysium and these things, strong things from the IP are in.
In one of the screenshots I showed earlier, you saw a giant building that was
marked
marked as Elysium. Yeah. That's not. They won't be labeled that way in game. Yeah. That's just for us.
Fair enough, thank you. Cheers.
Yep, thank you.
So I want to ask you about the city landscape and all that. You know, do you guys planning on having the difference on west side and east side of the city, so that you don't actually end up just staying in your house because you're happy in there, but there's different parts of the city are actually different.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing on city landscape, we're using the city as very much as a landscape, because you know, when you look at vampire movies, they're jumping around the rooftops and then they're looking around and scouting. This is actually emergent gameplay from our combat testing because of the vertical nature of cities, where you can see your enemies across the street and stuff like this. It's a very interesting tactical thing. So we're thinking about cities as landscapes, and one of the things, of course, is different things to do and different resources, but also different tactical environments, like skyscrapers versus 3-story low rises and stuff like that, warehouse district and that. So yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
lots of different variations in the city for sure.
How much money would CCP have to give you to complete the project?
Me personally?
No, not you, of course.
Oh,
but,
it's
a great question.
How much?
I do it for free. I love this.
If you had all the money that you need, when would you be able to release?
So it's not really a question of money. That's the interesting thing. And the team size we have currently is fairly large. You mean it's what are we, 80 people now?
70.
70.
70.
Okay, 70. I thought we were 80. All right, we're 70 people, and we're still, in the pre-production phase. We haven't entered what we call full production. When we enter full production, that's when we start massively, building the cities. That's why we're in the tool phase. And currently, the team size is quite adequate. We of course need a few people, here and there, but CCP doesn't have we do not believe in the philosophy of building games with teams of 600. It tends to break down the social cohesions of teams, and we're just building very different kinds of games. We're building sandbox games. We don't believe in building, 500 hours of recorded dialogue. We don't think that works as a business model.
And more to the point, it's not like there's some end date, right, with us, just like EVE, right? I mean, there's no budget for EVE. I mean, there's a budget, but there's no budget like it was done and it cost this much money. CCP continues to iterate on their products and expand them and make them better. So even when we release our product, we'll continue to iterate. And you've seen it with Dust right now, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the current version of Dust, but compared to what went into the beta last year, it looks amazing. It's had a drastic change over the last year, and they're going to continue to do that. Same as we plan on continuing to do that. So there's not a like this amount of money and there's our line in the sand. Will you want to have a subscription model, or can people buy assets in the game that they can use in the game that are destructible? Sorry, I missed some of that. You said the. Will it be a subscription model, or will you be able to buy assets in the game that are destructible as they are in Dust? Gotcha. We're not talking about business models right now for us. There's lots of different options on the table, and we're looking at it. It's a changing marketplace, and we're trying to build to be flexible and make sure that we can adjust to do what we need to do. So, good luck. Thanks. Oh, it sounded like you were going to fund the thing for a second. Is that? Okay, sweet. Because if you've got a spare couple of million laying around, love it.
So you guys have been pretty open about targeting the female demographic and focusing a lot on the fashion. A lot of games have success allowing third parties or individuals to create cosmetic items and be able to sell those on the market. Is that something that you guys are considering or planning on? Letting external parties create cosmetic items? Yeah, for example, like a game like Dota 2, any individual can create a cosmetic item, and that can end up on the market, and they would get a portion. The developer. That's not on our current roadmap right now. Something that might come up in the future, but right now we're just trying to get our basic systems down for the clothing and how we want to handle it before we start even thinking about opening it up to other people. So definitely something that's a part of our production pipeline.
Okay, so to start with, love the mood you've managed to set with it. But I was wondering about the city landscapes. Are we going to be seeing Assassin's Creed-esque, or is it more like Bloodlines, where you have different parts of the city, you go by taxi to different parts?
The city is seamless. but it's pretty large. So you want to use subway systems, to traverse, from one end to another. The tactical dynamics is more similar to Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
I've kind of got two questions. The first one you may not be able to ask. Obviously, you had with Dust, it was on the PS3. Now, is the World of Darkness something that could maybe later on down the line get ported to like the PlayStation 4?
So the current plan is PC. We'll just have to see.
My second question was obviously in the World of Darkness, you've obviously talked about the LARP and the tabletop. How would you work the generations of Vampire? Because obviously if you've been playing different years, you would go up a gen. Would we all start off the same, or would they be different?
Right, we're not going to go in details on that one.
That's fair enough.
No, I can't, sorry. It's a hot topic.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That's fine, you said
yeah.
Wow, you're being remarkably reserved this year.
I got so much flack at the office for... Right.
We know that you people got a lot from EVE Online. A lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of trust. And you're building a lot of avatar-based stuff. When you will give back and open that door? Open that fucking door.
Dave.
Yeah,
Dave.
you're going to be surprised.
I'm wondering, when will we open the pod bay doors, Dave?
That was what I was getting out of that. When will we start giving back to the EVE community?
Yeah.
You mean technology or
Well,
money?
Actually, I suppose you're building tools
Yeah.
that will help your colleagues
Yeah.
in Iceland to...
There is a lot of technology sharing between the studios. We're using a lot of technology that was built for EVE, and there's been a lot of technology that's been developed in the Atlanta studio that's been covered back into EVE. Yeah, when you open the door, it's probably going to be full of vampires in space.
Yeah. But for sure, like we share technology, DirectX 11. A lot of guys don't know it, but part of the reason why World of Darkness has been a long development project is much of the time that we've been involved, the World of Darkness team has actually shifted to the EVE project on a number of different occasions and given back technology. For sure, we've done lots of exchanges. The newer policy at this point has been to try to keep the projects a little bit more separate, except where we find technology that is more easily shareable, rather than trying to force either project to take the other project's technology. The projects are allowed to look into the other project and say, oh, I would like that. For example, we just took, EVE did a DirectX 11 integration thing that we took and said, hey, that's great, we need that. And so that was an example of that kind of thing. So for sure, and server network code and stuff like that, been a ton of stuff.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey guys, your tools look really amazing, especially what you can do with the shaders to change the look of buildings. Have you considered, or are you going to do something along the lines of, say, if a part of the city gets taken over by, say, the Sabbat, then it progressively becomes sort of more grimier and run down just by twisting a few knobs over time on what the brick textures and things like that will look like, and Camarilla controlled areas might be a little bit more civilized and cleaner. Is that something you guys could do?
We're absolutely thinking about stuff like that, and the procedural nature of the shaders allow us to do all kinds of. It's very flexible.
So the cities could evolve.
Yeah. Well, that will make it into the final game. I don't know. It's one of these things that we always have to prioritize. What you want to do and what you want to compromise. And sadly, a feature like this is a typical feature that is compromised. But we always have to. A big thing is to make the city feel alive and beautiful, and you cannot compromise on beauty, Chris. I'm sorry.
I think you're beautiful, and I never compromise. I love you.
All right, thank you guys. Love what you're doing.
That's a really good question, and it's something that we are considering, like you said.
Cool.
But yeah.
So I'll come back to the question about cities, and the examples you gave here were two big cities, Amsterdam and New York, as placeholders or whatever not. And you're talking about very large cities as areas where you transport in between. But I'm wondering, having seen a concept art 2 years back actually showing my own city, which is not very big, I'm wondering how are you looking at small cities as suburban areas interconnected with larger ones?
A lot of times we're looking at art like that for inspiration rather than to be creating a specific city. So that's really the biggest thing that you'll see there. We're focused on much more large environments than we are small cities. They're segmented into smaller bits.
I'm just comparing to EVE with the large systems contra small systems that they're interconnected. If there's any that sort of thought where you actually can move in between cities.
Oh, you absolutely can. It's a single shard game. You can. Yeah, you can go anywhere.
You can take the train from New York to Stockholm.
Yeah. One of the things that you'll see there, for example, part of the reason why those are up there is one of the things that we're working on is locating servers in specific cities to reduce latency for people. So we would actually have a worldwide network of servers rather than a single cluster. So that's why you're seeing those tests there. Yeah. Anybody else? Oh,
hi. I have a friend who has a question, so I'm going to ask it for him. The game, obviously, a friend.
Is this another frontal nudity thing? Because that.
No, it's not a frontal nudity. Not yet.
All right.
I haven't drank yet, so I'm good. But what was it? The game's called World of Darkness. The world's World of Darkness. So far, we've seen vampires. Are you planning to do anything involving? I remember playing. There was werewolves, changelings, mages. I was curious if we'll be able to play as, or we'll see a lot of it.
The initial game is focused on vampires. We felt like that breadth of product was too big for us to do justice to each different group. So what we wanted to do was put our focus on getting one thing right and then expanding to the others. And we've had lots of different kinds of discussions about how we'll handle those other things. We absolutely are going to, but we would consider those to be future expansions for the product.
Okay.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Okay,
just
one more question.
Never mind.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, 2 more questions. That guy's already up there.
Yeah.
So, in EVE, you have this notion of faster than light travel. Everyone is able to move between systems within a blink of an eye. Can you move between, I would hope that you're not, but can you move between systems, or between cities to reinforce your faction or your group or whatever in a similar amount of time? Or are you going to have people restricted to a particular area to minimize the scope of what people are able to logistically defend in a reasonable amount of time?
Mm-hmm. So there are some limitation in city travel, but it is essentially a single shot game. So yes, you can move into to help your friends in a different city, or you can totally relocate there. It is part of the CCP philosophy that the size of the social network is really the enhances the quality of the experience in the game. And so it's we're building World of Darkness as a single shard, even if it's multiple cities, you can travel between them. And we're going to have broods that span multiple cities, and it's going to be So yes.
Very good. We're definitely more focused on letting people interact than we are on trying to create.
But the limitation is more like the train from Stockholm to New York maybe only leaves at noon.
You are terrible with your geography. I'm going to take a train from Stockholm to New York. Yes. The underground ocean channel. Anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Last question.
Hi. I was wondering about DirectX versus OpenGL. One of the CCP guys told me that they have a version of EVE that can actually run on OpenGL, which could.
Which guy told you that? Where is he?
Which could allow for other operating systems than Windows.
So currently, we're only developing World of Darkness for DirectX 11. That, of course, does not exclude future iterations on different platforms, but currently the focus is totally on DirectX 11 and the PC platform.
We looked at OpenGL, and it's something that we would be completely interested in doing, but the problem is just that we're starting with the base engine that is the core of EVE, and making that transition for us is one of the things that we feel that is not within the scope of what we're looking to do right now. We have other bigger priorities for us. So.
Partly the reason is, of course, we have a lot of experience with DirectX 11.
Yeah.
And partly because the Macintosh and Linux platforms are much smaller, business-wise. So we will focus on that later. Similar to what we did with EVE, we started on the PC, and then we expanded to Mac, and now somebody has told you we're going to Linux.
Linux? Yeah. No.
So
well, that's it. Last question. I appreciate you guys coming out. Have a great FanFest. Thanks. Have a good time. Drink one for me.